Welcome back to Below the Pyramid. If you don't already know, this is our bi-weekly show at Subtle Sport, where we go across the Isthmian and the Southern Central League and all the drama that it brings as well. Now, in this episode, we've got a lot to unpack, haven't we, Zach? Because in the last 2 weeks, we've had the FA Cup and the FA Trophy qualification rounds coming to an end. You've got teams really struggling, a couple of teams being questions asked of them, one of them being my own, of course. But as we come into mid-October and, you start to see how the table may look come April and May, don't you? How are you then, Zach, today?
Yeah, I'm very well, very well. St Albans flying-ish at the moment. 11 games unbeaten. So I think I'm doing much better than how you're doing with Kettering.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It must be nice, mate. It must be nice. I mean, look, we'll start then as we mean to go on, and we'll start at the Southern Central because I think there's a lot to unpack, especially in this division over the last couple of weeks. And before I even get into Kettering, I want to talk on some other teams first to try and make me feel a little bit better before I get the onslaught of how crap Kettering have been. But one of those teams is obviously Real Bedford, and we gave them a lot of stick and a lot of criticism at the start of the season because we asked questions if Rob Sinclair would be able to pick it up after having it all their own way for so many years. They went on that bad spell, losing game after game, not picking up points, and it looked like they went into that Bury game. Sorry, after losing to Redditch. Sorry, they went into that Bury game a few days later, and it was pretty much the writing was on the wall, wasn't it, Zach? They had to win pretty much to keep his job. We felt, didn't they? And since then, they've obviously gone on a massive run where they've probably one of the best teams in the level, 6 wins from 7 games, only dropped points at Barwell. I mean, what have you made of them so far?
Yeah, I think they've just been flying. They've added key experience. They've just sort of Rob Sinclair's just tinkered with it a little bit, just brought in what he needed. Like we said it in summer, they had a young squad. I think they needed experience. I think
Mm.
Lewis Hilliard, 33, but just brought experience into the midfield and just composure. I was watching a few of their highlights. He just dictates the game so easily. And now,
Yeah.
yeah, they're pushing on as they should. They've had good players for years like Setchell, Ben Stevens, Drew Richardson, but now they've actually got some older players who can sort of push them that extra mile. So I think they'll be up in the playoffs come the end of season now.
No, 100%. And I think you've, spoke about it quite well there because bringing in that little bit of experience to the club at this level is exactly what they need, especially Lewis Hilliard, who's probably been their best player since going in, gone there, made a real difference. But let's also not underestimate their start to the season and how tough those opening fixtures were for them. You look at the teams they played, Spalding, which they obviously won on opening day, but still a tough team to go up against the likes of Needham, Kettering, Bishop Stortford twice in the FA Cup, Hales Owen, Redditch, all these sides in the opening few weeks made for pretty grim reading, didn't it? And they've now found themselves in the back end of that, nicer fixtures coming up, and they're in a much better position, fifth on 21 points, just 5 points back of Spalding on the top of the league. So it's been a real, massive turnaround for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think they'll go on a bit of a run now with sort of more of an easier run of games coming up.
Mm.
And I think they'll really just start to solidify themselves up in the top five.
No, 100%. It's where they were expected to be, wasn't it, at the start of the season? Before I touch on Kettering, then I want to talk about someone at the other end of the table, in Stourbridge, because this is a team who currently sit 19th and in the relegation zone. But they're 8 games without a win in all competitions, and they're dropping like a stone massively. Similar to a side like Stamford in ways, that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, because they've been in and around it for quite a while now, the playoff picture, and even Stourbridge have been going for the title a couple of times. They went toe to toe with Kettering a couple of years ago, and this year it's just not working at all. 21 goals conceded this season, matched with just 12 goals scored. And I think out of those teams down there, they are massively struggling. It's a really tight bunch group. You've got the likes of Sudbury, Royston, Stamford looking dead and buried a little bit at the moment, but you've also got the likes of Barwell, Banbury are falling down there, Bromsgrove as well. I think Stourbridge and Royston out of the bottom four at the moment probably have the best chance of getting out of it. But that being said, it's a massive decline and the results need to be changing fast, don't they? Have you seen much of Stourbridge or in terms of that bottom end of the table, who you think can get out of it?
Well, went to see Banbury, obviously, when we had them in the FA Cup. I
Mm,
thought they looked a good side. They're organised. They defend really well. And I've forgotten their centre forward's name, Stiche. I
yeah.
think he's just experienced. He holds the ball well. He knows how to bully players. So I think they will, I think, pick up results here and there, and I think they'll be fine. They're not a pretty side, but they're a
No,
good side.
no, exactly. And it weren't too long ago, Banbury, sorry, I was talking about them being, they were in and around that playoff picture. They were doing really well, and the Langers, Kelvin Langsmead, but now they're kind of just dropped off a little bit. A couple of bad results, maybe hindered by those quick turnaround games against St Albans, for example. But I think they have a good chance of getting out of it as well. Is there anything else then, Zach, that's caught your attention in the league before I talk about the circus?
Well, I think Bishop Stortford have just fallen apart a little bit. I think that was
Yeah.
expected, though. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do now. I think they'll just languish mid-table now.
Mm.
But yeah, that's sort of
No,
it.
I guess it's time that I talk about the circus then, isn't it? Because for regular viewers of the show, then we obviously do the Ketron and the St Albans talk at the back end of it, but Ketron have been probably the biggest talking point in the Southern Central over the last 2 weeks. So I feel like it's only fitting to discuss them now because what a 2 weeks it's been. Very different to how it's been for a St Albans fan, and you've been sitting there gloating for the last couple of weeks. So don't take any pity out on me. But we went into it. I think the last time we recorded this, it was just before the FA Trophy game against St Ives, and I was sitting there not very confident going into that game, and guess what? We lost and went out the FA Trophy. It was then quickly followed by the Nile Ranger debacle, when he took to his social media platforms, saying that he was, told to leave by the directors and everything else that happened in between. To then being in the starting lineup against Overchurch, another game that we lost. To then a couple of days later, I think it was announced that he'd left then, and it's not even like he's gone to a team in our level. He's not gone higher. He's gone lower to step four, with Wellingborough Town, and I didn't even realise Wellingborough Town are actually struggling at step four as well. They're just above the relegation zone, so it's such an odd move and one that I just don't. But there's so much. There must have been a massive falling out for him to easily turn around and go to step four. Um, that being said, obviously we had other players leave. Brandon Barker, not asked about. One of the most useless Kettering signings in recent history, to be honest. Kai Fifield, on the other hand, though, went on loan to Corn. Now, this is someone who was really, really strong last season in his first year at the club. Got an injury and then hasn't really found a way back into the team. But to loan him out to a league rival in Corn, really, really odd decision, I think, from the board, and especially to add insult to injury, he scored on his debut for Corn. I think it was like 15 minutes in as well. So that's a very talented player we let go. And then at the end of all of that, we saw Simon Holyhead get sacked. Now, he didn't go to the Redditch game where we got absolutely thumped. I think it was 4-0, trying to forget what the scoreline was, to be honest. But after about 15 games, he was sacked or resigned or whatever it was. And it's just I don't know where the roads lead. We had a bit of a positive result against Banbury in midweek, but you kind of expect that with their form at the moment. But there's talk of Liam McDonald now. He was at the game against Banbury in midweek. He was at the game at Redditch as well. No official announcement as of yet from the club, but that's looking like someone who will be the new manager. A guy who has success at this level in the non and across the non-league pyramid with Rushall and Stourbridge. Someone who knows the level tremendously well. Played for Ketchen as well about a decade ago. Um, but there's desperate work that needs to go into this Kettering team, even though on our poor form, we're not a million miles away from it. You look at what is it? I think it's 6 points off Spalding. We're just 1 point away from the top five at the moment. It's only October. Anything can, happen still at the moment. But that's pretty much my rant done on Kettering. Is there anything you want to ask Zach or bring up about them?
Well, I think in terms of changing manager, if you were going to do it, I think this is more of the right time because you're, as we
Yeah,
were saying, you're
100%.
so close to the top, like 6 points off the top. Like, I think in terms of, yeah, but in like, yeah, it's just not the best look as well at the moment, just from the outside looking in. Like, obviously, I follow
No.
the Twitter, looking at the whole Nile Ranger stuff. It's like, right now, I think you're probably at step three, probably the most embarrassing club to look at. Maybe
Yeah,
just
I can
behind
hear that.
Bracknell, because whatever's happening at Bracknell's just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, 100%.
grim readings.
Very, very grim readings. I mean, it's looking, out of both cups as well. Doesn't read for a pretty picture. And I feel for Simon because obviously when we interviewed him, he's probably one of the
Yeah,
most favourite
100%. Yeah,
interviews, and it was a lovely guy, and I stayed in contact with him afterwards as well. But it was just not working for him at Ketchard. As soon as the fans went and turned on his back, there was no turning back from it really. So I hope he picks himself up and finds himself another job
yeah,
soon.
should
But
do.
hopefully, we've got Needham Market at the weekend. That's our first game, and I think it's about 21 days it will be by the time it comes around, our first home game. So it's going to be a massive expectation to try and get points out of that. And if Liam McDonald is the new manager come that game, he's got a massive, job on his hands to try and turn it around a little bit following that Banbury result in midweek. Is there anything else then at all, Zach, that you want to touch on before I move to the Isthmian?
I think moved to the Isthmian. Don't know. Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, let's move on to them, that mate, because what's been happening across the leagues? I've obviously covered the Southern there, but what's happening in the Isthmian at the moment?
Well, Lewis have just appointed I forgot his name, well, new manager who was there last season. He went to Tonbridge. Didn't work out there, but he's come back.
Hmm.
That was after they lost 6-0 this week on Tuesday to Folkestone,
Yeah, I did see. Yeah, yeah.
which, well, I think Folkestone are currently the best side in the league. I think they could thump anyone on their day.
Hmm.
Wingate are starting to really pick up form. They've got 10 points in the last 4 games after a really, really slow start. But I've always said
Yeah.
about Wingate, they will go on a run because I really like their manager at Armet. It was just they've had a massive overhaul over summer. Like they brought in 15 new players. So
Mm.
yeah, Dartford are starting to improve. They're just outside the playoff picture. Canvey finally sacked Peter Taylor, um, which was coming, but I think
Yeah,
they'll still go down. Their squad is, or like I was going through their squad.
it's all right. Yeah.
There's no names there who jump
Mm.
out. So, but they did beat Brentwood, who were top of the league. It sort of just sums up football. Anything can
100%.
happen. Dulwich really slipping up now, which kind of happy about because I said they will come mid-table, and now they're starting to be right. They've got 1 win in 10, so
Yeah.
yeah. And Billericay surprisingly haven't picked up under Danny Scopes, just
Mm.
getting draws left, right, and centre. They've lost Ryan Blackman to Bedford Town, and I'm
Hmm.
someone who's watched Blackman hundreds of times when he was at St Albans. I think he's one of the best midfielders about in non-league. Just knows what he's
Mm.
doing. Will give everything in a game. So I think that's a big loss for them. That's sort of the main rundown of the Isthmian so far.
No, exactly. And I think when I was looking at it, I think the big ones for me were the likes of, I mean, you pretty much covered them all there a little bit, but Dartford, Billericay, Canvey Island as well. I mean,
Yeah,
Dartford then obviously, like you say, are now looking upwards rather than down, and the playoff picture is a little bit more open for them. They obviously got a respectable draw at Brentwood, who are a little bit of an iffy patch for them
yeah.
recently, but
It'll be interesting to
you
see how
know,
they now.
yeah, how they bounce back from it. I
Yeah.
mean, do you think they'll be able to in terms of Brentwood?
I think the issue with Brentwood is they don't have the financial backing of your
Mm,
Folkestones, your Chathams, your Dartfords. So I think come Christmas, when games are coming thick and fast, we'll see what they're really about. But I
yeah.
still expect them, because they've got so many good players, I still expect them to be in the playoff picture.
No, 100%. I mean, yeah, and then just quickly back to Dartford. Obviously, they comfortably beat Potter's Bar and Whitehawk as well, which obviously sees them looking up for the first time in a while. And they've not had a red card in a couple of weeks
Yeah,
either, so that's always a massive positive.
I think that's helped them massively. Like being able to put out a consistent 11. Ollie
Yeah.
Cox is picking up form. Like he's getting goals left, right, and centre. I think he's top goal scorer in the league, maybe
Hmm.
second with 8. So yeah, interesting one.
Yeah. And then obviously Billy Ricky as well. You touched on it there. Just draws.
Yeah,
Central. I mean, it's not clicking at the moment. They're not, they're not losing games,
yeah,
massively. Or apart from that Spennymoor FA Cup game, which you probably expected them to lose, maybe going up against a team from a higher league. But draws with the likes of Chichester, Cheshunt. They're looking over their shoulder a little bit at the moment. But would they be worried at this stage?
I don't think they need to be worried. I think it will click at some point. They've got the best squad in the league. Like I've said
Mm,
it also on paper, that squad should go unbeaten. It just maybe it's not the right mindsets in the squad, but in terms of
Yeah.
on pitch quality, they're the best. Also, forgot to mention, Welling sacked their manager, have brought in Rod Stringer back, who was their manager at the start of last season as
Hmm.
interim. Um, really, probably where some Stringer is, gets results, but plays some of the worst football in rugby. He's a bit of a thug, but I think, yeah, he'll push that Welling side out of relegation zone. That's what he does. It's a bit like the non-league Sam Allardyce will keep teams up when needed.
No, and it's exactly what they're going to need, isn't it?
Yeah,
After such a rough season so far. And then also, like you mentioned there, Canvey Island finally sacking their manager. We obviously have said that they probably not got the squad to go up, or not to go up, sorry, to stay up
yeah,
and kick on a little bit. But, they've had, like you say, that win over Brentwood in recent weeks, and, getting something over Whitehawk, it was in the FA Trophy. So, what can they build on that momentum at all, or do you just think that because they'll obviously possibly get a new manager bounce as well? Is there any sort of chance at all for them?
I just don't see it with Canby. Like their fans still like they've lost their manager, but all their fans were tweeting saying sort of just hinting there's something worse behind the scenes.
Mm,
So I just think, yeah, I think they'll pick up. Every team will pick up wins here and there. And I think
yeah.
Canby might pick up 3 or 4 between now and Christmas, but I can't see them climbing out of it.
No, I tend to agree as well, and I'll touch on Folkestone as well then quickly because they are. I'm just having a look at the league table now. They're the only unbeaten side still in the league. They also got a couple of games in hand on Brentwood as well, and a couple of games in hand against the teams around them. Smashing Lewis 6-0 always helps a little bit, but I mean, what a team, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it's a ridiculous side. Like some of best players probably to play at the level. Um, yeah, Joe Pigott up front, superb player. Kevin Loco, centre half up. He was at Maidenhead in the National League last season and was just
Hmm.
comfortable there. Now he's playing for them. Jake Hutchinson up front struggled at Worthing last season, but I remember a few years ago he was bagging them in for Eastbourne in the National League South. So it's good to see him find his confidence again. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think they'll be very comfortable towards the top.
No, definitely. And I'm just going to touch on a team that we've spoke about in length as well in recent weeks, and that's obviously hashtag because they're still going through this chopping and changing of the squad,
Yeah,
aren't they? You saw Misha Jamaili leave this week as well. And I'm just looking at their results here. They're obviously out the FA Trophy, which they lost to Sittingbourne. Now, I watched that game, and they, whoever hasn't seen it, just go and watch it on YouTube. It was a proper non-league game where they just got battered. Well, not battered as such, but they conceded early on. A hell of a technique on the goal, by the way, for Sittingbourne. But the conditions were proper non-league conditions, and they're just massively struggling at the moment. Lost to Wingate, and then obviously to Burgess Hill as well. I mean, what? Where do they go?
it's a tough one. I think maybe it's time for them to change it up manager
Mm,
wise if they want to go push on. I just think my issue with hashtag is some of the players they have in their squad are sort of more there for the social media.
yeah,
Like
100%. Yeah,
Toby, I can't say his last name, but
the love, Mr. Love Island.
Mr. Love Island, like he's gone on it what 5 times,
Yeah,
like for different series. It's just I think like he was on the bench in their last league match, but having players like that around, I just don't think's beneficial at this level.
no,
You want players
no,
fully committed, like So I think
100%.
they need to change it up, maybe. Yeah,
And you've also got to consider that. Sorry, I got so in my throat then. But Ballers League is back as well soon, and I think they've got a couple of
oh
players,
yeah,
like you say, that are very much the social media aspect to what hashtag are. I think they've got a couple of Toby's in it, I believe, and they've got a couple of other players that are in it as well. So I just feel that they may just continue to slip. I mean, what do you like talking on Ballers League then? Because it's something that we've never covered on
yeah.
this. I mean, what do you make of it all? Because it was when it was season one of Baller League, Kettering had about 5 players in it, and we ended up losing out on the league title. I wouldn't say that's directly because of Baller League, but when your likes of Nile Ranger and Bruno Andrade and all these players are playing in it, it obviously takes a massive toll, doesn't it? And their commitments are elsewhere when they're getting paid a couple of £100 for what is it, like 20 minutes, 40 minutes of football.
Yeah,
What are your opinions on it?
I was talking to actually a couple of people. It's some of the players get 700 per game
Mm,
in it, which is like ridiculous. Like, yeah, I think for players you can't really turn it down.
No.
Um, but yeah, I think Leo Seri and Alex Dyer, who were with us, played in it last season. Um, I'm not sure. Like, it's Monday nights, and teams rarely play Monday nights. But even then, you might
Yeah.
be missing a game, which I wouldn't like. If one of our players went and missed a game, I would kick off.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but you can't blame the players because it is just good money, and at non-league,
Hmm.
lots of players are just struggling financially. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't blame the players. And I watched a bit of it last year. It's not a bad watch either. To be fair, it's good quality fun. And
No,
like
it's not. It's
even
not a bad watch though.
most of the players just aren't. You can tell aren't giving 100% in it either. They're taking it a bit slow.
Mm.
But then you also have. I saw Troy Deeney last year in it, who went and just two-footed something nowhere. So that's also
No,
a risk.
exactly.
So yeah, I'm a bit on the
Yeah.
fence about it.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I think if I was a manager of a team that's in one of those promotion charges or relegation scraps, I'd probably be screwing a little bit because, like you say, it is very, very rare that teams play on a Monday either way. But you obviously have Tuesday and Wednesday night games, and if you were to pick up an injury, because some of these ex pros, like Troy Deeney, for example, went around and just bullied people, kicking shit out of people. I mean, there's obviously a big risk of injury there, but like you say, I don't blame the players at all, and I think it's good exposure as well, isn't it, for some of these non-league players? You look at like some of the ones that performed really well last season, probably still not playing at a high level. Like Step Four, like Tyler Winters and Brian Lee and them sort of players who were very good in Baller League, but they're just getting that exposure, and it's a little bit added to it in some ways. Let's move on then to some FA Cup and FA Trophy talk because obviously, like I said at the start of the episode, we've obviously had the qualifying rounds for both come to an end. Let's kick it off with the FA Trophy because obviously the first round kicks off over the next coming days. What did you make of those qualifying rounds, Zach? Was there any shocks at all?
Well, I think most happily St Albans got through against Aveley in a 2-0 win with a rotate. We
Yeah,
had a very weak squad, and I was surprised we got through.
mm,
Bishop Stortford thumping Cray Wanderers 4-0. Cray aren't a bad side there
yeah,
towards the top of the Isthmian, so Bishop Stortford going there, getting a result. Uh, Cheshunt beating Carshalton, that's a good Isthmian League tie, then Cheshunt grinding through.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Farnham Chichester seemed like a good game. It was Chichester's first game back after the Wingate and losing Billy Vigor.
Yeah,
But yeah, Farnham came through there winning 4-2. But yeah, Farnham just have a ridiculous squad. I think they're the main ones looking at it. Uh,
mm,
yeah, Harbour 2, Hednesford nil. That's a good result. Hednesford, always a tough side to play. So Harbour
yeah.
beating them just shows what a side they are at the moment.
No, 100%. I mean, Harbour are a hell of a side, and they've obviously, like you said, made it through, and they've got themselves in. Looking to the next round quickly, I mean, they've got Russian and Diamonds, who are step four. Now, Russian are looking over their shoulder a little bit in step four because they're just outside the drop zone. However, like I said a moment ago, they've got some really good players on their books, like Tyler Winters, who was at Ballers League last season. Hugh Dawson as well is down at Russian and Diamonds as well. So those sort of players can cause other teams problems, but I'd feel this would be a comfortable ride for Harbour, especially with how they're going. They're looking like a step two side now. They're just clicking into gear a little bit. If I look at some of the results, then that kind of caught me off. Well, not caught me off by surprise, but one that I like the look of was Corby versus Corn, obviously, and Corby got their revenge as such from last season. Obviously, Corn I don't want to say picked them to the title because they smashed that league, but beat them to the title. And then obviously Corby beat them on penalties in the FA Trophy to set up a very nice game against Spalding. And Hales Owen it was another one that I was a little bit shocked at because they went out at home to a struggling Leek side who in the Northern Prem, bitterly disappointing for them, I think. Um, so a couple of other games then. I Dartford, actually. Dartford was one because they fell to Hadley, I believe. Let me just double check that. It was 2-1, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, yeah, that's an awful result to Hadley. I've seen Hadley a few times. An awful side. Um, I remember, got a message from a Dartford fan on that day. Got it up now. Just get him gone now. Was the message from the manager. I think maybe his thoughts may have changed over the last few weeks, but to be fair,
Yeah,
I'm surprised he kept the job after that because losing to Hadley is a low of a low.
no, exactly, and that's them out of, if I am right, both cups they're out of now.
Yeah,
So, and lower league opposition in both, was it? Correct me
yeah.
if I'm wrong. So,
Oh,
uh,
I think it may have been Bracknell in the FA Cup.
actually, it may have been yes,
Yeah,
but
but
even then, I mean, you on paper that Dartford side probably should have just edged it, but. There's that. I think I'm looking at the ties. There's not massive amounts that really stand out to me. Like I say, I think Harbour versus Rushden probably the one for me. Is there anything at all for you that stands out over this weekend?
I think Billericay versus Stortford will be a tight game. At,
Mm,
so I think we could see a good game there. We've got Brentwood versus Welling. It'll be interesting to see how now Stringer's had a few weeks there. It'll be interesting if he's even still got the job there because he's just interim apparently.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting if they have anyone in there. Then I've got also Bracknell versus Banbury because
Hmm.
Bracknell I think lost 6-1 last night. Their manager's getting a lot of stick, but he's doing massive clear outs there. So
Yeah.
will be an interesting game to see what happens there if he's still there.
No, 100%. Most definitely. Let's talk about the FA Cup then, mate, because it's another one that obviously, like I said, qualifying rounds over. Looking towards the first round, we've got some good ties. I think some better ties here. Well, obviously with the FA Cup aspect, the league aspect, but one of them being obviously St Albans away at Burton Albion, who are
Yeah.
obviously in League One. Are you, firstly, how are you feeling with that drawing? Are you
I
happy with
first
it?
saw the draw, I was a bit just like could have been better. But it's League One side away day. I
Yeah.
think it's looking like we're going to sell out the away end. I think we'll be taking 1,200. So I think it's going to be a very good day out. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think
Mm.
hangover after Halloween will be cured by Burton away. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. Shame it wasn't on
No,
TV. I thought
exactly.
it would get a TV pick, but not too
No,
much.
no, no. Especially with TNT having it this year, having
Yeah,
more options and so forth. I mean, there is, like I said, there is some really interesting ties, isn't there? Looking at both our leagues, there's actually no Southern League representation in the first round, which is a huge blow
yeah,
for the league, especially after the runs that the likes of Kettering and Harbour went on last season in the competition. But in terms of the Isthmian, you've obviously got yourselves and you've got Chatham, who
yeah.
I think actually stand a relatively decent chance of getting past Buxton, who are obviously in National League North. I
100%.
mean,
Yeah, Chatham could win that. And that'd
yeah.
be superb if they got to the second round. My favourite draw, even though it's a National League South and a National League team, but it's Chelmsford Braintree.
Oh,
Essex,
100%. I was going to
Essex,
mention that one, yeah.
yeah, Essex Derby. Chelmsford's manager Harrop, I know for a fact, did not have the best of terms with the Braintree ownership,
Mm.
but Braintree's owners, yeah, I'm less said the better. Uh, but yeah, that's going to be a good game. It's on TV. I quite like to think it's partly on TV because my tweet about it should be on TV. That got crazy amount of likes. So if they want to send me some of the TV money, I'd be
I don't think that's
happy.
going to happen, pal. They
But
need to pay Lyle Taylor's wages one way or
yeah,
another.
but yeah, very good draw there, and I'll be tuning into that 100%.
No, 100%. And I think there was three big ties that I really looked at. That was obviously one of them. It's neither of our leagues, but Wigan at home to Hemel is a massive one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm delighted for Leonie and Allenton at Hemel. Two of my favourite people in football. Always get a good cut run. Yeah, thoroughly deserved. I think that I personally thought that should have been on TV because Hemel haven't
Mm,
got to the first round in 20 plus years.
yeah,
And to get Wigan, former FA Cup winners. So yeah, but delighted
no,
for
exactly.
them.
It's a massive away day as well. I mean, travelling
Yeah,
up to Wigan, I can just imagine the beers flowing that day.
yeah,
And then obviously another one that stood out to me is Malden and Tiptree, obviously the lowest ranked side, sorry, in the competition, and they've got that away day at Port Vale. I mean, I think the one that's making this even more intriguing. It's on telly, but I mean the things that's making it better is the back and forth
yeah,
between them on social media, between the club accounts, between Barry the owner and some of the fans and the Port Vale fans giving Molden stick. I mean, it's great to watch on football Twitter, isn't it?
Oh, it's top content. Like I just look at Barry's Twitter on daily, and it's just hilarious. Like yeah,
No, it's quality, and they may go there and get thumped because Port Vale are a very good side, managed by a very good manager in Darren Moore. But who knows? That's why we love the FA Cup, isn't it?
yeah, 100%. I could just see Mullen Tiptree snatching a 1-0 smash and grab, which would be yeah. I'd love to see the Twitter then.
Mm. It would be absolute season. I guess the good thing that they've got in their favour if they were to go and get a result is they've got some of that league experience in their team,
Yeah,
haven't they? And especially the league experience in the right areas, the likes of Freddie Sears up front and so forth. I mean, that's going to be massive for them, isn't it, going into this one?
100%. I think that experience is what you need in a cup game like this because they will know
Mm.
the little tricks, the little where to like leave your foot in, and that's what you need
Yeah,
in these big games.
no, 100%. Is there anything else about the FA Cup then, mate, that you want to touch on before I let go into the St Albans chat?
No, I think covered all the biggish games. Just having a look through now. Yeah, other than like Luton, Forest Green, which
Mm.
yeah, but yeah, that's a bit boring. Not lower league
Yeah,
enough
woke
for us.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's go into it then and round us off because obviously, like I said, we normally do this with St Albans and Kettering, but I've pretty much done all my Kettering talk earlier in the episode. So this is now your time, Zach, to boast about what a great life it is being a St Albans fan and how great things are. You know, you're in the first round
honestly,
of both cups, you're flying in the league, and all of this other stuff.
yeah. So yeah, I think 12 games unbeaten now.
Yeah.
So yeah, flying, but still performances are still just not quite there.
Mm,
Like Culverhouse has been saying we're not good enough at the moment, and I fully agree. Like we just we struggle in games, but what's different from last season is we've got players in our team who will just throw their body on the line, give it all,
yeah.
make sure we pick up results. Michael Boswick in particular. When I first saw him in summer, first pre-season game, I thought this guy is terrible. I thought like he just looked like some guy you've wheeled out from your local pub. But
Mm,
every game he's gotten 10 times better. You can see him getting up to fitness. I think he's 38, turning 39 soon. But
mm,
he's absolutely superb. Like he's a leader, puts his body on the line, throws himself about. And at the moment, he's like, yeah, our most senior player at the back. I think we need to sign another centre back or two because currently, with Fifield out, it's just Boswick and young Kieran
yeah.
Gortier from our academy next. I personally don't think Kieran's up to the level yet. He may be, but yeah, that's good. We signed a player on loan from Coventry. Can't say his
Mhm.
name. It's but from what I heard, I didn't get to go on Tuesday, but from what I was hearing from fans, he's looked promising. He's quick. He sort of plays in the 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know we're also looking at to get a centre forward in at the moment because yeah, we just lack a centre forward. We lack a goal scorer. Uh,
Mm.
Off the pitch, we're sort of dragging our way back to normality. It's a long drag back, but doing it, I'd say highlights, very little thing, but our highlights have massively improved over the last 2 weeks since this
Mm.
new media guys come in, so that's all very good. Also, one other player I want to talk about is Leo Seri. He's just been sensational for us, like
Yeah.
absolutely controlling the attack, absolutely just running at teams, causing issues, winning fouls, and only 21 years old, so I think we might lose hold of him at some point to National League EFL.
Yeah.
But
But things are looking up, and it's very different to what it was a couple of weeks ago and over the summer and all of that, where you were sat in there a little bit more depressed. And I think the question I'll ask about it all then is, I guess you look at the teams ahead of you that you're starting to catch now, the likes of Dulwich, who are obviously falling off a little bit, Dartford, who have risen as well with you, Chatham, and those sort of sides away from your Folkestone and your Brentwood at the moment. But do you think you have the quality now as well as the momentum to go and get these sides?
it's a tough one because the issue I think we have is we've got such a small squad. I think we had 15 first team players on Tuesday night in
Mm,
the squad, and it's just not sustainable. We need to start signing players. We can't just maintain it with this small squad because come Christmas, we could be down to 11 or 10 first
yeah.
teamers at this rate. So we need to get them a market. We need to back Culverhouse and Bazamore. Like, just give
Mm,
them what they need. Like, from what they've done with what they've been given and the squad has just been unreal. So if you back them up 10% more, we should be able to get playoffs.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's also interesting as well because even though you are, in both first round, sorry, of the cup and of both cups,
Yeah,
it could also be like you say, if you've got a small squad with
yeah.
injuries and everything else already, it could be a bad thing as well, couldn't it?
I think we've got 6 consecutive Tuesday night games now. 6 of them. So yeah,
So that squad is going to be massively, massively stretched.
yeah. So yeah, not looking
Uh,
good.
I mean, obviously, you touched on another centre back there as well. Is there anyone that you've got your eyes on at all, or you'd like to go and get if this is your message to the board? Because I'm sure they watch a few of the things you do.
Well, it was annoying. I saw Ian Gale left Lewis this week. I think he's a sensational centre back, but I think he's got picked up already. But if it's all changed at
Mm,
Lewis, I see ex St Albans player Dan Bowery at Lewis. If he got let
hmm.
go, I wouldn't mind him back. So yeah, will be an interesting one.
No,
Can't think of
definitely.
anyone really on the top of my head at the moment.
No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, obviously, I've already covered all the Kettering stuff, and we won't need to go back into that again. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about, Zach, at all before we start to round off?
No, I think I've covered it all.
Perfect then, mate. I mean, let's round it off there. Zach, it has been, as always, a pleasure to have you here and unpack this episode. A lot of work done, but I think we've done a good job of it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Should be interesting next episode following the Burton game. See what's happened there.
Exactly. And see how hungover you are if it's a week-long party if you get to round two.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. And of course, thank you to everyone who has tuned in to Below the Pyramid over the last couple of weeks. We've got some more guest interviews coming up and some more of this show as well. But until then, we will see you later.